And we're here. Let me see if you guys can hear me. Hopefully you guys can. I was trying to change my thumbnail, but I don't know what's going on. Okay, so let's do our intros. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. So this is my first time using StreamYards on my phone. Um or producing a video with StreamYards on my phone. So if there's some technical difficulties, it is definitely the user error. User error, excuse me. Um, so yeah. And let me know if you guys can hear me. Oh yes, we can. All right. So AO Detroit, what's going on, y'all? What's going on? Thank you for being in here. Um, and yeah, so I left a couple of links in the description. Today's just gonna be a mashup. New Year's. We're just talking. I'm gonna be here for a little bit, and then we'll end out. But yeah, yeah. So um, I wanted to start this off by saying Happy New Year's, everyone. I hope this year is not like last year in a good way. And I hope that it's not like 2020. That's for sure. This post-COVID life is not going great for many people, right? Mr. Z's been on an upward trajectory, but I understand that is not the case for many people. I don't know if that many people is most people, but I know that many people aren't exactly having the greatest time since 2020, right? So I hope that others can also be on an upward trajectory with Mr. Z also. So um, let's start it off with the original video that I put in the comments from Instagram. And I think it's from that Black News whatever page on Instagram on IG. The link is in my description for those of you that need to see it. It's only a few seconds long. Um, and yeah, so I guess a daughter, I don't know how she did it, but she released her father from having to pay whatever leftover child support or whatever. And the comments are in shambles, right? Shout out to Indigo Flow. Indigo Flow said, "Oh yeah, y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat." Indigo Flow said, "Remember how much hope and optimism we had for 2020, right?" I remember when all those memes were going around in the beginning of 2021, that where people were saying like, I don't hear all of y'all saying how optimistic and positive 2021 is going to be and how it's going to be your year. 2020 got y'all shook, huh? I remember seeing those memes. It was hysterical. But yeah. So the video that I posted, that was funny, Indigo. The video that I posted from with the link from Instagram was showing I guess, like I said, a young lady released her father from having to pay whatever child support, and the comments were in shambles. And you had black men and black women both say, this is a good thing. You never know. And believe it or not, there were some black women that were straight up like, these women sometimes use the children against the father. You never know. He could have been giving her money and they had an argument, and she decided to stick the cord on him. And this was men and women. Believe it or not, the women were going just as hard, and you could argue some of these women are the sisters of some of those men that happened to, some of the mothers of those men that happened to. So women calling out other women for some of their scandalous behavior, men calling out women for some of their scandalous behavior. um and there were women, once again, y'all already know, projecting um and saying, oh, so she essentially raised herself then if she's releasing him from having to pay child support. And like, there was some very, you're like, I don't know what type of daddy issues you got, but you need to go see a therapist, right? Like, some of it was bad. Some of these women like went on whole 2-3 paragraph rants, right? Go telling you how they baby daddy ain't ish, and like how their baby daddy's relationship with their son is horrible. And I'm like, okay, so all you had to say was she should have never did that then. She should have never released him from child support. You didn't have to go on a 3-4 paragraph, diatribe about how these niggas ain't ish, right? So it was And I wanted to start off the new year just kind of speaking about that, like, letting go some of these gripes, man. Like, it's bad. And I don't think people see how, like, bad I've met men and women, but Black Man is here, so we're particularly speaking about the women. They're sensible, they're knowledgeable, they're well-rounded. These are people like you'd be like, yeah, man, she's cool as hell. The second we start talking about sex, relationships, intimacy, the opposite sex, it's like a it's like they just switch into like a different person. They are right. They just it's a switch that goes off, and this person is unhinged, and you can't reason with them, and you can't tell them nothing, and the trauma is just oozing from their pores, and you can see it, right? And you're like, oh my god, like what? And if these people, because you don't assume that these people are heterosexual, but whatever. But if these people are heterosexual and they're looking to be in a relationship with a man, you have to, like, at least for me, I ask myself, what can anyone do with you? Like, what? Oh my god, like, and I think women see it in men, right? Because I've been around since I was a child. I've been around women that's like, man, that man gonna be single forever. Yeah, I can see why he act like that. Like, I can see why he don't got no wife, or I can see why she divorced him and whatever. You've been hearing women say that, but because the way men are socialized for the most part is not to bicker back and forth with women. So women have these like small what they think are victories with men because we don't bicker back and forth with them in large part. We don't engage with them in that selling wolf ticket thing because it makes you look, and excuse my language, you know, like a bitch, right? It makes you look soft when you bicker back and forth with women. So they'll have this demeanor about themselves, these men ain't ish, right? And they'll, like I said, that they'll switch when we start talking about relationships and intimacy and men's roles and women's roles and all these other things. And because they see that men are not engaging with them in a certain way, they'll think they're right. But their life in the shambles that it's in will show them that they're wrong, and they still won't be paying attention. They'll be ignoring it, actually, right? And it's just and like I said, I'm reading through those comments, and I'm like, oh man, ladies, right? Like I said, there were women and men both talking about like they've been witness to and they've seen firsthand like how women use the child support court against men, right? And even some of the women were like, y'all don't know how this relationship between the father and the daughter went because clearly she loves her father by releasing him from having to pay this money. So clearly they have some type of rapport, some type of good relationship, and you could see through the comments that the other women weren't trying to hear it. And I've been witness to mothers who put their children in this position where I detest your father, and if you don't detest him too, then you don't love me. And even if we didn't have to go through that with our mothers, everyone knows a person who mother put them in that position with their father. If you don't think of him the way I think of him, right, then you don't love me. It's an affront to me if you don't see him as a monster the way I see him as a monster. And thank God my with the ups and downs of my parents, I wasn't necessarily put in that position from my mother, but I've seen other people put in that position with their mother put them in that position, right? And that's a horrible, because we all know women, we all know black women, and some of them are just that upfront about it. They'll pretty much say that to their child, not in those words, but but then there's others where they will do the whole like I'm a victim of your dad thing in front of their children, and like so they're garnering the sympathy card from their children. And what you find It's daughters and sons, but particularly the sons as they get older. And this is where women really start to like have this anger towards some of their sons. Their sons start to see, wait a minute, mom, you was hiding money over here. I remember what you did to my stepdad, right? That's why you've been divorced twice, mom. 3 times, mom, right? I remember you doing this and making these comments and that. And as men start to get old, boys start to become men, right? And as they age and as they also get out in the dating scene and women start pulling these type of stunts on them, they start, wait a minute, right? And there is no, you know, that wait a minute, that, oh, so that's what it is, right? Yeah, there's a lot of mothers that really don't know what to do with that young men becoming men, adult men, and seeing certain things in women, particularly in the black community, right? And once again, I will remind y'all of Iyanla Van Zant, right? What did she say to those men? I raised my son to stand in it with black women. No, Iyanla, them young men ain't trying to do that, no, because they're, believe it or not, black men would do it, stand in the attitude and the sass and the emasculation. Black men would do it if there was a reward at the end. There, you get a swift kick in the ass at the end, right? Like people act like black men haven't like been biting the bullet for the longest. No, these young men, they watch their fathers and their grandfathers and their uncles go through that. They're not doing that no more, right? You know, and what he had a soul. Thank you very much. He said, "Happy New Year, Z and company." Thank you, brother. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Right. And so, I'm starting this off by saying, y'all, some of y'all, let that go. That anger, that rage, that resentment, but it ain't good. It don't look good on you, right? It does not look good on you. And you see it, man. It's bad. Once we start, shout out to GC, he said that hate black man card, that hate black man chip activates. And it's true. Like I said, I've worked with, been friends with intelligent, sensible, smart, funny black women. But the second we start talking about men and sex and relationships and intimacy, boy, that switch up, is crazy. And then, we all think it, but none of us say it, which is like, boy, that's why you don't got no man now. We all think it, right? And she know we thinking it. What she's trying to do is justify her demeanor and attitude. But as a man, nobody cares about your traumas from past relationships, right? You're told to suck that up. That's part of the game, right? You're told to suck that up. It's part of the game. And in a way, it is part of the game. Like I said in a previous video, you are attempting to, when we're dating, and I'm not talking about just trying to have sex with someone, but when we're dating and courting, right? I know courting is not a thing anymore, but y'all know what I'm saying. You're literally trying to make something work with a fully grown other adult with their own independent thoughts and feelings. So of course, more often than not, it's not going to work. And people take that it didn't work and just get mad at the world, right? People take that it didn't work and they're mad at the world, particularly the opposite sex, right? And that's crazy, right? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, and on another switch up topic. That's why we call it a mashup. So what he had a soul. Shout out to you, brother. Sent me something through email a couple of days ago. Glenn Lowry and a couple of other brothers speaking about this black people, and they had a weird spin on something that BGS tells us all the time, which is this people of color thing. But from the angle they were coming at it, more of a conservative angle, which is the ignore race, racism is not a thing type thing. If it is, it's so infinitesimal, it's almost like it's something that you shouldn't even talk about because it's so minute, it's so small. And I'm listening in, and at the end, one of the brothers checks him and say, "Come on now, like we ain't gonna do this, right?" But you know, one comment, and I'm gonna butcher it because now I'm forgetting exactly how the person said it. But the comment that stood out to me the most is almost like we've transitioned, the world is changing, we're no longer in that place anymore. And I'm like, but we keep on saying that. Didn't we say that at the end of slavery? And I mean, didn't we say that at the end of Reconstruction? And I mean, didn't we say that at the end of World War I when the black GIs were coming back? And I mean, didn't we say that at the end of World War II when the black GIs were coming back again? And didn't we say that at the end of Vietnam and smack dab in the civil rights movement? And didn't we say that in the mid 70s, right? I mean, we've been saying that. Didn't we say that in the beginning of the Clinton administration? We've been saying this race thing is not a thing anymore, at least for a century and a half, right? And shout out to you, Toya, right? Happy New Year. We've been saying that for at least a century and a half. Someone tell me when it's been right. I'll wait. Let me take a swig of this juice real quick. Right? Somebody tell me when it's been right. Right? Because that we've been saying that. Right? It's a new day. This no longer matters. Right? Race is no longer a factor. This ain't real. We victim mentality, blah, blah, blah. Right? And that's both white and black people. Obviously, definitely more white people have been engaging in that. But both white and black people have been doing this. Well, if we don't mention it, if we ignore it, if we pretend like this is not a thing, then it's not a thing. And it's a thing. Right? And yeah. So watching that video, what he had a soul. I'm just gonna say what. Um, what when I was watching that, I was like, wait, haven't we've been saying that? That's not new, right? That's not new. The whole yeah, aren't we transitioning past this? Like, who's still holding on to this? Who's still holding on to this? That's not a lazy bum loser, right? And watching that, I was just, I was so like straight face listening to it, right? When you just have the straight face, like, what? What are you talking about, right? And there's that. Let's move on. And I did not finish watching the whole series. Shout out to the brother Edward Anderson. I was meaning to jump on his live last night, and I fell asleep, right? So, yeah. Shout out to the brother Edward Anderson. And give me a second, you guys. Give me a second. There's something on the screen. Wait a minute. My apologies, y'all. Like I said, I'm using my phone, and I just drank a little bit of juice, and I think some of the juice that was stuck to the top of the cap like leaked on the phone a little bit, so I had to like mute it so I could wipe off whatever. Anyway, Mr. Z being messy. So shout out to the brother Edward Anderson. Two things that he covered last night I kind of want to go over. Like I said, I didn't go through the whole series yet, but the sister, and she's cute. I find her attractive. She's cute. The one that married a Dominican dude, the same one in the beginning of the video talking about passport bros when she's a whole failed passport sis. you're you're a whole once again the hypocrisy be let's pause real quick before we go into the story, the little bit that I watched so far. Let's speak about this particular thing. and I'm gonna bring Ostefko into this conversation for this also. Kim from For Hair. I'm gonna bring in a couple of people, mention a couple of people because the for you to make such a blatant statement and your life reflects that you attempted the same thing, it's frightening, right? And thank you for the Cash App 3000 GT. Thank you very much, brother. Right? And it's scary because for you to say, "Oh, bitter," right? These trigger words, right? Bitter and we're elevating and that lady, you literally tried this. You tried it. You went to the Dominican Republic. You met some scammer ass dude, some playerific ass dude that played you, and you fell. Not even fell for it because some of this was him tricking you, and then some of this was you tricking you. Your desperation, right? The same thing. Shout out to you, Kareen, the sister Kareen in here. Terry McMillan, right? Kareen, the story with Terry McMillan and the Jamaican cat, the gay Jamaican cat. You couldn't tell you, but I've been around Jamaicans my entire life. The dude was so flaming. Terry McMillan had to be ignoring the signs. There's no ways she wasn't ignoring the signs. He ain't tricked you. You tricked yourself. Nothing about this dude Sadiel. It was screaming rainbow. Right? Bringing up Ostefko also the what do black people owe black people, and essentially try to say that successful black men owe black women being in a relationship with black women and validating black women's beauty and prestige and status in the society. Meanwhile, Ostefko takes the liberty of dealing with everybody and dating across the board and essentially being a swirler. Right? And standing on why she should be a swirler. Nothing wrong with that, but do you not see the hypocrisy? No, you see the hypocrisy, you just find weird ways of trying to justify it. Right? These people are weird. It's one thing to think and feel this way. It's another thing to put a camera up, to show your face, to advocate this way, right? And literally the hypocrisy that's staring you right in the face. It's not even, ma'am, you're a whole failed passport, sis. You are a whole entire failed passport, sis, and you're making a video about how passport bros are some type of disgusting. She didn't use those words, but right? They're bitter. They're mad because black women's standards are up here now. They always do the "I know my worth" thing, lady. Clearly, you didn't know your worth because the Dominican dude played your ass, right? Clearly, the Dominican dude played your, and it's crazy. I'm listening. I think I got up to part 3. I think part 2 or part 3 of her series, and I'm gonna talk about it later. And if Ed has a stream about it later, I'll try to jump on. But yeah. So I'm watching it, and she herself was saying red flags. Don't come at me, y'all, because she like in retrospect, she's realizing how stupid she was, right? But yet you still make a video going at passport bros. Like it's interesting. Let me say this because this is where Iana Van Zant comes in. It's interesting how much we lack introspection, right? We will be on camera. We will be sassy. We will be mean spirited. We'll be taking jabs at the opposite sex. We will be just a-holes, right? Right? Not pleasurable, not like, I'm not saying nothing about us is redeeming, but these particular people, you just get that air, excuse me, of like insufferable, right? And they will speak this way and then not understand why black men are grabbing their passports and leaving, right? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. So you're mean, you're extra sassy, you're a know-it-all. And when I say know-it-all, no, it's not that you're intelligent and well informed. No, you are a um mean-spirited, hammer people over the head with whatever facts you think are prescient or whatever, in this very aggressive um way, right? And I'm trying to get my words together for how I'm describing this. And these people then turn around and act like they don't understand, or they not even act, because I don't think it's an act. That's the frightening part. When you try to think to yourself or try to figure out, wait a minute, do you not know, or are you pretending not to know, right? So these people are very like I keep on going to this word, mean spirited, and like they're trying to stand on it. They're trying to justify why it's okay. I'm different than men because when men do this, it's because they're sexist monsters. When I do it, it's because I'm attempting to defend my energy and my space and my right. So the young lady is speaking the way she is, right? Talking about black men being bitter and black women elevating and da da da. Failed passport chick, um, but she doesn't understand why black men are grabbing their passports. It's frightening, right? It's frightening. Happy New Year, Trell. What's going on, Trell? Right? And you know, like I said, the young lady, you'll find her attractive, cute sister, right? You know, fell, excuse me, fell head over heels for the Dominican dude. And what she was essentially saying is that there's almost nothing he could have said or did because she had already locked onto him. She knew, like, I want that. And like, outside of like, being like a overt murderer or something, like doing something so overtly heinous that my spirit couldn't take it, there's nothing he could have said or did that would have made me stop pursuing this. That's essentially what she was speaking to. And many of us, now, this is not a man woman thing, this is both men and women. When you lock on to someone and that's what you want, we start to ignore clear red flags. Our society tells men on the other side of that, well, that's on you. You should have knew better. You should have moved smarter. And we do that for women to a certain extent too. Let's be honest. Yes, we do. But not to the same degree. It's not the same. And so women get to play victim. They get to play like they were tricked. This lady is telling you how she saw the red flags and ignored them. And how some of her friends were like, girl. And she ignored them. Right? Spademan, hysterical. Spademan says, Kelly's Blue Book, Sisterhood, I Know My Worth edition. This title might be changed to that. You might have gave me the title for this video, Spademan. Right? That was funny. That was freaking hysterical. Right? So, I'm still working through her series. But so far it's interesting to me that, you know, these people, and she said it, she was broke, she was working 60 hours a week, she could barely make it herself, and y'all hear what this lady's saying? She was barely making it to survive herself. She got car payments, she got student loan debt, she whatever, but she still is trying to save up to go take this trip, to go see this dude, to pay for his son's birthday. Dude over here running game on her, and I'm like, bruh, no, he is running game on you, but you're running game on yourself also, right? You are running game on yourself also, right? And thank y'all for all the compliments. Detroit said this man is working hard. I don't know if you're talking about me or the Dominican dude that played her ass. But right, man. GC says she a whole simp. G but that is yes. I mean, men simp, we already know men simp. We talk about that all the time. My favorite, well, my second favorite genre, hip hop is my favorite genre of music. But my second favorite genre of music, and it's a close second, is all the simping ass R&B coming out the 80s and the 90s and the early aughts. I love it. Ain't nothing better than a man singing his soul out for women, right? End of the road on bended knee, but hey, all the simp music is great, right? Great talent right there. Cry for you, y'all better stop, right? Indigo Flow said Babyface. Look, one of the best simp writers ever. One of the best simp writers ever. What song was I listening to from the Isley Brothers? R. Kelly didn't have a verse on it, but he was in the background of Ron Isley's song. And I was like, if this ain't sugar daddy music, I don't know what is. What would you do? What would you do? It was what would you do? Isley Brothers, what would you do? And I was, and you could hear, Kel, you could tell Kel's wrote the song and you could hear him in the background. And I'm like, if this ain't sugar daddy music, I don't know what is. Right? And I listened to that song like 5 times back to back. Right? You know, when you kind of rediscover, it's not rediscover, or like when you're going through your YouTube and it's suggesting different songs and you come up on a song maybe you haven't listened to in a couple years and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot I like this song. And you listen to the song like 6 times back to back. I listened to What Would You Do like 6, 7 times. There's no way I didn't listen to it at least half a dozen times, like back to back. And I'm thinking to myself, if this ain't the most sugar daddy music ever, right? But continuing with this young lady, and yes, she was a simp, out and out simp. Aaron Hall, I Miss You is one of my favorite 90s R&B songs. I put that song in my top 10 of best R&B songs from the 90s. Like, I Miss You, that's what till this day I can't listen to that song only one time. It's going to get rewind at least 3 or 4 times. If not, I'll probably start it in the like, because my favorite part is really like the last like 2 or so minutes, 2.5 minutes, and I'll just rewind it back there and let it play, and then rewind it back then and then let it play again, right? Trail Billy said, I was listening to Project Pat yesterday. I'm happy he's getting his flowers. I'm happy he's getting his flowers, right? Because everybody was talking about Juicy. We've been talking about Juicy J. We've been like, everybody's talking about Juicy J, and Juicy J, shout out to him. He jumped on that Wiz Khalifa train, so he kept his name relevant. And Wiz Khalifa took a liking to him and they hit it off and he kept his name relevant. And I'm happy that Project Pat is also, because a lot of like Project Pat type of samples and words and phrases are still in. Like there's still people still, yeah, so anyway, but yeah, the young lady was a simp, right? And so far, to me, it's only the story's only getting worse. And like I said, I'm on like video number 2 or 3, so I'm gonna listen to the whole series. And yeah, ladies, I mean, y'all gotta be careful, man. Look, black women, if y'all gonna do the passport sis thing, and this is black social worker Z speaking now. Y'all got, excuse me, y'all gotta be careful. If y'all gonna go to these other countries, y'all heard the story of the 2 sisters. What country was that? Where they murked their ass over land? What country was that? These other men they not squabbling with y'all. They not going back and forth verbally with y'all. Selling wolf tickets, they will murder you. In these other countries, ain't no talk. right? Number one. Number two, y'all trying to find Eastern European husbands. Insane. All right, play with fire if you want to. Y'all are going to the Middle East. Y'all are going to the Caribbean. Y'all are going to South America. Look, it ain't even 100% safe. It's safer for black men because we're men and we have a sense of awareness. But with y'all one or two sweet words from some brown green eye Rico Suave slick hair dude, and y'all falling, and it's over, right? And look, man, all right, it Mr. Z on some serious stuff for black women, like, these are my sisters, my mothers, my, girl cousins, my friends and associates. Y'all really don't know what y'all dealing with. Y'all really don't. I get it. Y'all, all right, black men ain't niche. I'm going overseas, and these white men are too racist in America. Blah 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 blah. Okay, fine. All right, y'all gonna find out the hard way. Y'all gonna find out it ain't all right. These other countries, see, in America, in Canada, in Britain, in France, in the West, we have this concept of egalitarianism and kind of, men and women could be in the same spaces, and women could get to talk and interrupt you, and be sassy. And I'm not saying these other people in other countries can't be sassy too. We know these other cultures, their women are sassy also. But there's a line where that man says shut the f up, and she shuts the f up, because the next thing that happens is there's going to be some furniture moving in there. And I think when you are culturally ignorant, you don't realize who you're dealing with, right? We have stories over here in South Florida with these Latinos, bruh, straight murdering their wives. Black women talking about femicide, femicide, black femicide, yeah, man. I mean, when did we stop talking about the white guys, and when they're depressed, and you know um when they're in self delete mode, they're not just going to self delete themselves. They're going to take out the whole family and then self delete. Like, when did that stop not being a thing? It's a thing, right? Rogus, for real, Patrice O'Neill did say that women don't respect the bicep. Look, man, ladies, and even to this young lady, the way the story, you lucky your story ended up that way, because it could have ended up way worse. Because, and this is the thing, you're getting these, because these women were raised with black men ain't ish, sexist, colorist monsters, blah blah blah, not gonna build, not gonna do this, not gonna, which is funny, because then they end up being like this young lady, and then spending all their money to maintain a relationship with some extra average to bummy non-black dude, right? So I guess that whole provider protector thing goes out the window when it's a non-black man, but okay. um or non-ADOS black man, or non-Americanized black man, but all right. um so y'all are infused with all of that rhetoric, cool. Then you go into another community in America, or you try to take a flight somewhere else, and number one, whether you're young or middle age, you are naive to the culture and the people. You are desperate. You are horny. And like the video where the young lady was on the beach saying, eat some pee, and you'll get a green card." Da, da, da. I saw that video too, right? And so I don't know what island she was on when she was speaking. I think it might have been Jamaica, but these men, you don't know what you're. Do you know what you're dealing with? Do you know who you're dealing with? You could pull that in America and not have to fear for your life. And these other, what you telling a man from another country to eat some pee, eat some vagina. like in a condescending tone. You lucky you made it on the plane back. This is not America. This is not Britain. This is not France. This is not Canada. Yup. All right, ladies. All right. I'm telling you, I've been to Haiti. All right. You'll be fine in somebody's backyard somewhere. That it's not okay, and that goes to show you, like, when this type of attitude and demeanor isn't checked in America. Now you're bringing that not even to the air quotes, and I'm being careful with this, but not even to the air quotes developed world. You're bringing this to like Africa. You're bringing this to the Caribbean. You're bringing this to South America. You're bringing this to the Middle East. Are you having self-delete thoughts and sentiments? Because that's what you asking for, right? This is not all right. Keep playing around, right? So the young lady, her video. Once again, I'm gonna finish the series and then we'll talk about it later. Yeah, lady, that's not smart. Not smart. It's not. Yeah, it's not smart because in these other places, the which you don't think is disrespect, and you think is just you air quotes checking a man, and I had to tell him, and I'm gonna get him told, and did it. All of that you think is just whatever. There's a couple of countries in the Caribbean, truth be told, where their women is just as sassy, if not more. So you could get away with that. But once you start going into Africa with that, depending on the country, once you start going into the Middle East, now you're suicidal. You're starting to go to Eastern Europe. Are you retarded? You're going into South America with that? All right. Maybe y'all haven't, because I used to. What was the gory website from back in the day where it just showed like all the weird mob killing and gangster killings in South America, and showing you people falling off of bikes and their faces half ripped off. I forgot the name of the website. And one of my friends put me on that, and I remember one day just kind of going through the rabbit hole, and you seeing this rival gang people in Mexico murking the other people's wives, catching their girls cheating, and the sister with them, and they murk both of them, right? Catching the rival gang members. I'm gonna take your head off with a chainsaw, and I'm gonna take your head off with the regular saw, literally, and do it, right? And those the people you think you're gonna be sassy with. Okay, they murder their spouses on camera, bro. Right? They murder their spouses on camera. And you think you gotta what? Sass and talk rude and be mean to those people because you so used to doing it to Black American men, right? All right, not smart, right? And moving on to another video that Ed covered, and once again, shout out to the brother Edward Anderson. This one, and like I said, it's going to be interesting. Okay, and if anybody has the link, you could put it put it in my comments, please. The second video that Ed covered, where the two African sisters were speaking about Black women, Black American women, talking crazy about them, and Ed said it also. Y'all are gonna be. I've said it when I mentioned Richard Reeves in his book, right? And I mentioned Scott Galloway, and I'm gonna add other non-Black American women to this conversation also. So that includes the Filipina lady that's going around speaking about passport bros in a positive light. That also includes these two African sisters. That includes some of the white guys that are talking about the plight of men and boys, in particular Black men and boys, like Richard Reeves is speaking about. What's going to be interesting over the next few years is watching as non-Black American women. So everybody except for Black American women or Black Western women. So that would also include Black British women because believe it or not, they kind of on the same type of thing too. Um, and some Black Canadian women because they're on the same type of thing too. It's going to be interesting to watch as white men, certain Latinas, um, African sisters, because that's one thing. The African brothers ain't saying the African brothers aren't coming to the defense of Black American women the way African sisters are coming to the defense of Black American men. Because Black American men aren't going at African men and saying, "You want these." You know, mud hut building dudes. You want all whatever pejoratives. You want these walking barefoot dudes. We're not talking like that because we don't think like that, right? But with some of the Black American sisters, y'all start getting into y'all feels and start insulting these African women, right? Y'all start getting into y'all feels and start insulting them. So what I um what I predict is going to happen over the next few years is there's going to be a borderline street fight over the image of Black men and what is acceptable rhetoric. And you're gonna have and it's a wide scope. You're gonna have the Kimberly Crenshaws, the Kim from Port Harriet's, the Cynthia G's. Yeah, I'm pulling all of them in that same camp. The Paris Milans, because they're all gonna try to justify it in their own way, but they're all in that these niggas ain't ish camp. They're all in that camp, right? You're gonna have them on that side. And then on the other side is everybody else on planet Earth. Right? The white guys that are not racist, the Black African sisters that are tired of Black women calling them whatever pejorative, the Asian women, the Latina women, the name them, the white guys that are tired of Black women using them as a rhetorical weapon against Black men in the Black gender war. All of those guys are on. Everybody else is on the other side, men and women of varying races and backgrounds. And so it's going to be interesting when whether it's Kimberly Crenshaw versus Richard Reeves or whatever type of iteration, it might not be them two in particular, but it's going to be interesting to watch as like perfect example when we watched the video I did, what's her name, Alicia, whatever, when she was on what's his name broadcast going against ABBA, right? And that was interesting because you got to see this kind of, I think she's Afro-Latina adjacent, like this. I know Black women wouldn't claim her, but still, but she's using Black American women talking points. So there you go. You have this woman kissing the rear end of the white guy in front of other white men, speaking crazy about Black men in front of other white men is just not smart, even for you in your own mission, right? Yeah, Destiny. Thank you, Trell. Right? It's not smart, right? It's not smart for you to show this much contempt for Black men. Like even like I said, as much as Rollo pretend race doesn't matter, even Rollo Tomasi was disgusted with watching Black women dance on Kevin Samuel's grave. Right? And this is a white guy with a overwhelmingly white audience watching as Black women dance on Kevin Samuel's grave. Right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Like I said, I don't know like if somebody is and I don't see it because I'm using StreamYards on my phone for the first time, so it's possible somebody might have put something and I just didn't see it. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But so yeah. So it's this is going to be interesting. And what those African sisters were speaking to, and they were speaking about traditionalism, right? And all these other things. And like I said, if anyone has that video, I know Zulu was, shout out to the brother Last Zulu was speaking to Ed about it. And yeah, that's gonna be yeah. Oh yeah. I saw it too. Indigo Flow. Indigo Flow says I literally just saw a meme last night. And wait. I'm sorry. The comment moved up. Okay, there we go. I literally saw a meme last night that said something like, "Y'all know Kevin Samuels is still dead, and Tory Lanez is going to jail, right?" And that same one was speaking about well. There was another one that maybe that I saw that also mentioned Andrew Tate because before he was released from prison. So yeah, it once again it goes back to that weird karma thing that a lot of black women are on. Like you see, you talking crap about us, and look at what happened to y'all in 2022. And the comment the it was a man, it was a black man that posted the meme that I saw, and it was pretty much saying, "Look, all of your gods, right?" And he didn't say that, but I'm saying that's the sentiment behind the post, which is like, all these men, look at them like karma, right? All you black men, you better get it right, right? Don't you get it? And that's the sentiment, right? Don't you get it? Kevin Samuels is dead. Um, 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 Tate is in prison, and Tory Lanez is in prison too. Ha 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 ha. Right? In other words, and let me be very crass with this, y'all ain't kissing black women's ass, so look at what's happening to y'all. Y'all not placating them. Y'all not telling them, you know the real problem is black men. You're not doing the fake Derek Jackson or at best, right? FD signifier. You're not doing that. So, you know, look at what you getting. All right. Meanwhile, brothers is grabbing their passports and getting out. And if they're staying, they're starting more and more to deal with Latinas who in significant number are reciprocating, right? It ain't looking. I you know, let me pause with this real quick and mention the brother, the nameless protagonist. When the nameless protagonist first introduced the hive model, and he was playing with some of the concepts, and I was privy to this, and I really liked where he was going with it. I was hoping against all hope that he was wrong. I was hoping against all hope, and even though you see the hive model in its infancy all across the hood anyway. You already see it, right? And I was hoping against all hope that he was wrong. And what it's looking like more and more is that the nameless protagonist is absolutely right. What you're going to do, what you're going to see, and let me actually read this comment real quick. I am Wolf says, I don't know. I feel like there's always been a global sisterhood that partake in making Black American men ADOS, Black American men ADOS in particular, the sacrificial lamb for Black misandry. Let me see if it shows it. Oh, perfect. Ah, I didn't know. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, I'm Wolf. Thank you for the super chat. Um, yeah. So I know that when I do that, that happens. Okay. All right. I'm probably gonna start you. Shout out to the brother, the Raj report. Let's first of all let's shout out Raj real quick. Raj began on my get on me, y'all. Right. And shout out to Raj. Raj is a great friend in the background. Like Raj be looking out. He'll give me suggestions. Raj is really that dude, right? Um, and Raj was like, Z, why aren't you using StreamYards? Why are you're using YouTube? Why aren't you using StreamYards? And he's right. And I finally did it. And it looks like it's working. So, shout out to the brother, the Roger report. I finally took your advice, Raj, right? um, Raj was the person that suggested that I make more content on a regular. He's also the one that suggested I use StreamYards. He was one of the people that suggested I even um start to make content and whatnot. So yeah, the Roger report, yeah, he's definitely, y'all don't hear me mention him as much as maybe BGS or whatnot, but the Roger report is definitely a brother that he's definitely one of those people that encourages you and stays on you, right? I didn't know Roger was listening. Look at that. His first comment. He said, I just be trying to help. Thank you, Raj. Thank you. Right. So, right. Giving you your flowers now, brother. Giving you your flowers now. And yeah, so damn, where was I going with my comment? What was I saying earlier? I didn't lost my thoughts, right? So yeah, so like I said, there's going to be a street fight over the image of black men and black women. I mean, black men in particular. And it's going to be interesting seeing some, excuse me, some virtue signaling white women, Asian and Latina women, but mainly overwhelmingly black. That's where I was going. I was talking about the hive model. I'm about to go back to that. But it's going to be interesting seeing those women on that side speaking about these topics. And it's going to be interesting seeing that and then seeing the hordes of everybody else, including us, on the other side, right? And going back to what I was saying with the nameless protagonist, the brother, the nameless protagonist, and his hive model, I really wanted him to be wrong. And shout out to the brother, nameless protagonist, and he'll understand why I'm saying that. It's not that I want nameless to be wrong, but I didn't want to think of black women making themselves so insufferable to so many men, not just black men. That's the catch. If there was something really wrong with black men, if it was really us, then black women's interracial marriage rate would be through the roof. They would be Asian women, right? With white guys. If it was really that, if it was really black men are just, y'all just don't see the beauty in black women and everybody else does, then that interracial marriage rate will reflect that. And I'm saying that to say what's happening is that you're seeing, and you see this in the hood, which is like block after block after block, right? In a neighborhood where it's just women, heterosexual women, bisexual women, and lesbian women in the hood with their children. And it's like barely any men there. There's a couple of nuclear families there, traditional nuclear families, a couple, but it's mainly women-led households, and the men that are there are coming through, dropping off some D, and then leaving. Right? You already see that, but I'm saying you're going to see more and more of that. And in certain places in the country, some of that Atlanta area, some of that DC area, the DMV area, it's not just hood, uneducated, ignorant black women. It's also higher up, more established, educated black women. Some of them, this is where you get some of the divorcees in there who are also part of this, right? So it's not only regulated to some of us that may have gotten caught up in the, I don't have this status, this money, and so I never got married, blah, blah, blah. It's also some of your educated black women who are participating, whether they realize it or not, participating in this kind of political lesbianism, right? Some of these women, like Mr. ZF told y'all before, haven't had sex years on end, right? They're not even intimate with other women, right? They work a middle management job. And to me, that is, and what all of these women have in common is that they want men, particularly black men, to pay fealty to them. Not just for access to the vagina, but I'm not even going to say for a modicum of respect because they're not going to give it. For them to pretend like they respect you on the margins. You have to pay fealty, and I'm using fealty for a reason, because it's not just basic care and respect of them. No, they want you to kiss their rear end. And because that's just not how men work in majority, white men, black men, Latino men are not engaging with them outside of some fun time, right? And so what's ending up happening is black women are screaming from the mountaintops how black men ain't ish, and some of your it wasn't Keisha Cole, it was the other one, K Michelle's, who have been in situations with white men. They don't even say black men ain't ish. They say men are not good people, because they gave it up to the white dude for nothing. And they just, it's sad. I don't get off on talking about black women this way, right? I really don't get off on talking about them this way. But it is sad to see a group of people who refuse to look in the mirror And if you put a mirror in their face, they'll kill you. They will, if they could, they will kill you. They will destroy you. And for the best of them, the most they got is, well, I did it because he did it. Well, why can't I be like this because the white women are like this? Well, why can't I be like this because the toxic black men are like this? Well, why can't I be like this because the white elite men that created this messed up system are like this? It's never, because Mr. Z speaks about systems all the time. Y'all hear, I speak about systems all the time and how they function on us and how they encourage us to do things that are not in our best self-interest, right? I speak about it all the time, but there has to be some type of individual accountability. It can't just be 100% system, right? And what ends up happening in 100% environment, the environment definitely plays a role, obviously. And that's what I try to stress, right? And so, oh man, Toya, for real, right? So what's frightening is watching so many black women in particular, like, go after everyone, right? And when Toya said it, shout out to the sister Toya, she said, but Mr. Z, if we look in the mirror, it'll kill our white woman image of ourselves, the myth of white womanhood. And there you go. Right? And even Emerald said it, and there you go. Exactly, Emerald. Exactly. Shout out to the brother Emerald Edge. Exactly. Right? And that's what I think I'm saying. Right? That's what I think. It's frightening. And I don't want to see I don't want black women to end up what I foresee, and if I'm hopefully I'm not putting words in his mouth, but what I think the brother, the nameless protagonist, also sees is happening already and is going to get worse, right? That I'm hoping that this doesn't happen the way we see it happening, but it's happening, right? Across class, across education. Now, obviously, more educated black women are more likely to be married. Um, but this is, it can't be everyone else all the time, right? I'm a black man born and raised in America. I don't, when black people, I don't insult black people when we start talking about our history and being on the wrong side of that, being the victims of white supremacist aggression. I don't do the whole victim mentality. Oh, you playing victim. I don't do that to black people. A victim is a victim. They ain't no, you're playing victim mentality. No, that history speaks for itself. But there is a woe is me. It's always someone else. It's always something else. You have to be careful playing with that, right? And what we see with what the African sisters are saying, and like the brother Ed said, you can't claim colorism on this one. These are two dark-skinned sisters, right? To me, the one on the left kind of had the Lupita look a little bit, right? These are two dark-skinned sisters telling you what comes with a relation. They were it's interesting in that small snippet that I saw, how they pretty much said, I pretty much know I want a man. I'm gonna submit because I want a man, and I want a man that does this type of thing. So I'm gonna submit. It's like it was nothing. There's no pulling teeth. There's no trying to negotiate. There's none of that, right? And so this is where Mr. Z comes in. Y'all notice I don't really be advocating for certain things. Y'all notice that, right? Outside of some of the like social and economic things, I don't tell people what to do. I'm not one of those tell people what to do type of people. I don't like dictating to people. What I do say on my channel, and I stress this, is the consequences of doing whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. And are you prepared for what comes on the other side? I don't ever tell you not to be, once again, shout out to the brother PK, negative liberty, right? Mr. Z is not going to tell you, hey, don't do this, don't do that. No. Are you ready for that consequence, though? You don't have to be what the majority of men are asking for women to be. You don't have to be that. Once again, you live in a society where women can make just as much money as men. You could be self-sufficient. You could, there was a video of a sister pretty much saying that, like, it's because I want men. I don't need men, right? I want men. I don't. If I have to have my car towed, I can make a phone call and da da da. It's true. Cool. That means you don't have to be what many men are asking for. You don't have to be that. But are you prepared for, if you're not that, what comes on the other side? Because there are men, once again, what Carl told the sister Aisha, rest in peace Aisha, on the grapevine. There are men that will eat that, right? There are men that will eat that. Y'all don't be wanting those men. Y'all don't want those men. Y'all want masters of the universe men, but you want them to play puppy when they're with you. And even these African sisters are telling you, not gonna happen. And so they understand, you know what it is? They're still operating off of the old social contract, and they understand where they sign off. And what modern women, and this is where Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels, come in, they're trying to hodgepodge some new contract that doesn't work for men at all. Right? So these other women from other communities, definitely from other countries, they're still operating for the most part, because they've been hit with some of this modernization too, but for the most part they're still operating off of old contract rules. They understand the dance, right? That doesn't mean, by the way, that doesn't mean these women don't work, because now Western women have come in, yeah, but these women don't have to work. That's BS. I don't know what y'all talking about. Because this is where modern women say, yeah, I'll do that if you put me in the lap of luxury and opulence and make me a stay-at-home wife when you're making $500,000 a year. Yeah, no. Right? So let me dead that right now. And so what happens is these other women are operating from the old paradigm. And when American, and I really want to see that, if Lazulu comes up on this, I really want to see that video, because I really want to read those comments, because Lazulu was, and shout out to the brother Lazulu, he was speaking about how in the comments it's just mayhem, right? It's mayhem in the comments. And I really want to see it for myself, because I can imagine Black American women, they can't, and even American women, because I won't even put that on just Black American women, but specifically because that's who we care about. I can imagine them, like, how that's making them feel, seeing women who somewhat resemble them telling them, yeah, y'all sound crazy, and we're inviting you here to Africa too. We're not just inviting the men, we're inviting you here too. But let's be honest, how many African men are going to marry ADOS, FBA, or Americanized women? Not just ADOS, FBA, but Americanized Black women with all that sass. And that does, once again, and I want to be very clear, because what ends up happening is that when you say that, we start talking about these other women in other communities like they don't have no say-so. I don't know where some of the American sisters and just American women get this from, that these other women don't have no say-so in their families, right? They're just overly oppressed, right? I don't know where they get this crap from, but these women have a say-so. And just like what used to happen in American life, the day-to-day operations of the home, the woman runs it. The man just has the final say-so. And usually, let's be honest, Black men, we ain't trying to stress that. I don't know about white society, but Black men, for the most part, we put our foot down every once in a blue moon. It's, no, babe, I ain't doing that. Right? And shout out to the brother Indigo Flow. He says they understand the dance they understand the dance made me think of something kind of deep. Right? And shout out to the brother Indigo Flow. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Right? And I think, yeah, so like that's these other women, it's because it's the way it's framed, right? These other women, you want to go to these other nations because these other women, they cater to you and they kiss your rear end. Yeah, they might cater to me, but nobody's looking for a floor mat. And that's what a lot of American women, including black women, make it seem like. We're going to these other places. Men in the West are grabbing their passports because they're looking for floor mats. I don't know about non-black men, but black men in particular that I've met, we don't get off on that. At least in the spaces that I operate in, we don't get off on that. So that's not what we're looking for. We just looking not to fight every day, and we're looking for a woman that doesn't have a gun to our head, that doesn't say either you kiss my rear end or I throw you to the wolves in white society with this child support and this alimony, and I rip our family apart, and I sacrifice our children to the whims of this society because you're no longer in the home, right? And I'm probably going to practice parental alienation, right? So that's it. Like I said, it's going to be an interesting thing to see all these other groups of people around the world versus mainly black women, some black men in America, mainly black women in America, some black men, some virtue signaling white women, Latinas, and Asians, and that's about it. It's going to be interesting to see that. Because especially, and this is where I think black men, and I'll say it because y'all gonna lose it anyway. I think we're way better at the PR campaign right now than black women give us credit for. Yeah, I said it. I know there's gonna be people. Oh, Mr. C, you giving up the ghost? Listen, man, they so far gone. They'll hear me say this and they still won't act right. When I mean that, when I say that, like Kevin, rest in peace, Kevin. What he showed, and it's because once again we're working from the rest of the world is working from an old paradigm. When all of these young women in their 20s, these literally could have been Kevin's daughters, are coming on and sassing him and disrespecting him. Do you understand what the rest of the world saw? Who wants to be with average anyway? Trying to overtalk and outtalk Kevin with all the 23-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, even up to 30. Kevin was what, 56 or something? So anyone pretty much 35 and younger could have been Kevin's child, right? And to be sassing him and be aggressive, do you know what the rest of the world saw? So you could say what you want to say, but the rest of the world sees you when we're in the middle of the milk aisle and you're cursing me out, bro. Right? Now it's about justifying it. When y'all danced on his grave, the rest of the world saw that. They saw that on social media. Y'all tried to, oh, you can't police how black women acted. You can't have police how we responded. He was a sexist monster. And yeah, that sounds cute, but the rest of the world saw y'all dancing on a dead man's grave. And the rest of the world didn't see what Kevin was saying that was that egregious. It was egregious to you. The rest of the world didn't see what he was saying that was egregious. It was simple math to them. You want a rich dude and you're not going to do what he says? Tell me how this is supposed to work. Where excuse me, 1+1 = 2, and you're looking for 1+1 = 7. How is this supposed to work? He used the high value thing as a carrot, and it worked. And what women across the West, particularly in America, came on to say is, I want this status symbol of a man, but I want him to act the way I want him to act and do what I want him to do. I want to show him off in front of my friends. I want him to cater to me and baby me and essentially act like my girlfriend, but I want him to also go out there and be a masters of a universe. But then I don't want him to have eyes for anyone else. Shout out to Stefko, who literally said it. I want a gorgeous man, but I want him to only love me and have eyes for no one else. Bruh, you can't make this up. Rest in peace, Kevin. And the rest of the world saw that. Going back to the African sisters, that's why I'm tying this in. The rest of the world sees you. You're attempting, excuse me, You're attempting to justify it, but the rest of the world sees you. And now they're reading your comments on the internet is exposed. When did Mr. Z come in here? The internet is exposing us all. No, in reality, it's us exposing ourselves on the internet, on social media. All that ain't the world sees you, Lexus Exodus, with your subscribers clapping it up for the white racist man calling a black young man the N-word because he cheated on his white girlfriend. The white guy cheated on his white girlfriend. UCLA student, if I'm excuse me, if I'm not mistaken. White guy cheats on his white girlfriend. White girlfriend gets revenge by sleeping with a black dude. White boyfriend gets mad, is in the car with his white friend who's recording him and exposes him. White guy on the phone with his mom. His mom is trying to check him. White mom trying to check white son. White son calling the black dude all type of N-words, and you have black women clapping it up and saying, I would date him. The rest of the world saw that. Come on, man. The rest of the world saw y'all dance on that. Forget Kevin. All right, fine. You're justifying Kevin. You're not, but still, for argument's sake. Explain Kobe. Y'all were dancing on his grave just because he ain't marry a black woman. The rest of the world sees that. So y'all gonna lose y'all are losing the PR campaign, Chrissy. Right? Y'all are losing it. Like, well, y'all don't build, and the rest of the world sees that, and y'all look how y'all act. The rest of the world sees that. You threw all your cards out too early. You've been talking crazy about black men publicly in this particular way since the late 60s. You threw your cards out already. Everything that black women have to say about black men, they said it already. They spent everything. What white guys say, you blew your load. You blew your load early. Right? You blew your load early. Shout out to the first Fast and the Furious. Too soon, Junior. You pressed the NOS button too early. Right? Leon said it, right? Everything's been said. True, everything's been said. The abort black sons, that was y'all, that was pretty much where do y'all go from there? Right? So that's the difference. And what are black men really saying? I want to be okay. Let's rewind. What are black men actually saying? Because if you think about it, yeah, we're making content and we're speaking about different events, and that's the hint right there. What are we really saying? Aren't we just for the most part showing black women talking and then making our commentary about it? Showing their actions and then making our commentary about it? Like, what are we exactly saying? Right? What, going back to Kevin, rest in peace, what did Kevin actually say? Like I've said it before, he just put a camera up and let you talk. What did he actually say that the black manosphere hasn't already said? What did he? I mean, you got the video of the light skinned sister, and thank you for the brother that sent it to me. God damn, I forgot who it was. They put it in my comments because I was like, I've been looking for this video, and it was the crew, right? And the brother put it in. I can't remember. If you're here, shout yourself up. I'll put your comment up. But the video I was talking about for a while now with the light skinned sister that said, if I make more than you, I will mistreat you. Right? In another video, there was the heavy set brown skin sister that said, I don't want a 9-to-5 guy. Because if I want 50 racks right now, I need him to have it right now. Now, it's too easy. I'm not even gonna mention we all know, we seen her. We seen how she looked. I'm not even gonna go there with it. You tell me who's walking around here with $50,000 liquid and would give it to you just because. No questions. What type of D-boys even D-boy, who's walking around that could literally throw you 50 grand, don't ask no questions, right? But the world sees that, ladies. I'm bringing all of this up to say the world sees that. And the difference between black men and black women in this back and forth, in this gender conversation, is that once again, you shot your load already. You shot it early. You literally you had the world thinking that black American men were all walking around here secretly having sex with each other and with other men, excuse me, of other races with this DL thing that Oprah and Terry McMillan were on in the 90s, right? That was a real thing. Y'all have literally put out movies like Waiting to Excel, bro. Y'all literally injected a fictional character called Bigger Long in a movie that was supposed to be a historical piece. This fictional black man in the middle of slavery looking a white slave owner in the face and saying, whatever money I win for capturing your slave, I'm going to use it on white whores. The rest of the world see that, ladies. And so yeah, these African sisters that they busting y'all out. The Filipina lady, she's busting y'all out. All these other women, these Latinas making dance videos speaking about black men and talking about how they like. Y'all gonna be hard pressed to see men do the same thing. It's gonna be hard for y'all. Y'all forgot Crystalline Karazin tried. She got flamed by the same dudes, right? It ain't smart. Look how many. Yeah, there's been a couple of white girls that have tried to flame black men and whatever, but let's be honest, that sting, because men are men, so men chase, right? So white women trying to expose black men, it just doesn't have the same impact as a woman fiending over a man so much that she starts to talk crazy about the men of her own race to the point where this white comedian makes a skit about it. A white man comedian makes a skit about it. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's from Chicago, right? He makes a skit about dating black women who talk about how horrible black men are. That's scary. When a white guy has to like kind of pat y'all on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, you looking a little crazy." Like, I like black women, I date black women, but y'all, I don't want to date one of y'all that's dating me because you got an issue with black men and how horrible black men are. I don't want to be your token. I don't want to be the hammer you try to hit black men up the head with. Look, I got me a successful white man comedian. Because people with self-worth without low self-esteem, they don't want to be your rhetorical weapon against black men. Right? And so going back, the African sister invited everyone. The African sisters, excuse me, invited all of us in the black diaspora to come to Africa. And they truly looked a little dumbfounded, like, but why are black American women coming at us like this? Because you messing up their money. You messing up the money. You trying to tell black American men that you know the social contract and you will adhere to it? What? And they don't have to be super rich for you to do it too? And you don't have contempt for them? And you're not necessarily looking at them as the come up? You actually see them as human beings and you're like, okay, if you're the main provider, if you do these things, then I'll do those things and we can make something work. and I'll happily play my role if you play your role. Black American women are like, wait a minute, look, excuse me, we have these men whipped. Could you not offer them another deal, a better deal? You can offer them a worse deal so they can make us look better, but you can't offer them a better deal. You're messing up our money, right? So yeah, I'm watching Ed's clips, and it's just, look, it is. I really don't want to see what I think I'm seeing coming down the pike, right? I really don't. It Once again, shout out to the brother, the nameless protagonist, the hive model, just a bunch of women, black women living amongst each other with their kids for those of them that have children. No real man in sight, and there you go. The men that are there are stuck there. They have their nuclear family. They may not have the means to get out, but for the most part, a couple of men in their families, and then one or two men coming through doing what they doing with the women, and then leaving. And when I say doing what they doing with the women, I mean all the women. Don't get it twisted. The butch lesbian women, some of them are giving it up to dudes too, right? Some of them are giving it up to dudes also, right? And thank you, Gil Gami, for the super sticker. Shout out to you. And yeah, that's like I said, it and it won't work the same way. Simply put, the reason why passport cis will not work the same as passport bros, it's not because of black American women look, right? There's heavy set women in other places. There's heavy set black women in other places in the world. It's not your skin tone, right? You can't call colorism on Africans, right? It's not that. You can't call colorism on black people in the Caribbean, right? We got blue, black, purple also, right? Super dark skin, very coarse hair. Ain't nobody stressing that. You can't claim colorism and featureism and texturism. No, it's your attitude. Is no, if we were if if we were sent, if let's say part of the reparations movement was we're gonna give all of you, screw it, every black person in America, not even just ADOS FBA, every black person gets $750,000. Only catch is you gotta leave. How many of us in 15 years, black men, black women, how many black men would be in Africa or the Caribbean, married, wife, 2, 3 kids, and how many black women would be in the same position? And this is when you get to see how attitude plays a role, how demeanor and outlook on life plays a role, right? Because yeah, there's gonna be some dudes that marry off for the come up on the money, and yeah, there's gonna be women that try to do the same thing with us. Obviously, I'm not even gonna pretend that's not a thing. But how many, right? You can't see when you go back to the motherland, when you go back to Africa, 54 countries, but for the most part, sub-Saharan Africa, you can't claim texturism and featureism. You can't claim it's because black men have been socialized to want this type of look and that type of look, and you can't claim that there. So if we all go back to Africa right now, how many black American women will be married off? Can those African men take not just the sass, because African women sass too, this kind of disdain for manhood? It's a disdain. It's an over critique of manhood and masculinity from a condescending position. How many African men you think can eat that? You trying to intellectualize why you should be a gynocrat. and how he should still put his life on the line for you with all your attitude and your sass and your just straight meanness, rude, mean, aggressive, right? Oh, GC said 70K. No, I didn't say 70. I said 750,000, right? 750,000. If we were given three-quarters of a mil to leave, and most ADOS, FBA, and just black people in America took that deal and left, how many men compared to how many women would be married and happy in the next decade or two wherever we went, whether it's the Caribbean or in Africa? And once again, this is not me attempting to limit Mr. Z, and I'll be straight up with y'all. Mr. Z is not necessarily trying to limit black women to the Stepford wife thing. I know there's brothers that's what they want. They want to go back to whatever concept of 1950s marriage, archetype. I get it. Because when black women hear, when that's not even just a black woman thing, when modern women hear this, that modern Western women, excuse me, hear this, that's what they hear. You just want me barefoot and pregnant with with no say so and no opinions and no anything. Mr. Z is not exactly saying that. Like I said, you could do what you want to do. You can do what you, and I remember this, they kind of lightly touched on this on the grapevine also. You can do what you want to do, but there's consequences. And those women, you could see the anger in them for the brother that kind of said that, right? And it goes back to what I keep on saying. No, I want a wolf. I just want to domesticate him. I don't want the Chihuahua. I don't even want the Golden Retriever. I don't want the German Shepherd. No, I want a wolf. I just want to break him. I want a master of the universe. I just want him to cater to me and kiss my ass. Right? And what you see with the African sisters, what you saw with the Filipina sister, what you saw with these different women that are having these conversations, is they're saying, I wanted, I'll do the dance. I'll do the dance, and I know my role in the dance. Right? Right? I know I want to do this dance with you. And for them, as long as you're not abusive, you're not calling them out of their name, you're a black man. As long as you're a black man, your standard issue black man, right? And what we pretty much middle class brothers and up, you're good to go. If you're a $45,000 a year brother, you go, you meet her, y'all, you keep on taking trips for a year or so, a year or two. What it's looking like is you could tell her, hey, I'm not the richest. We might have to live in an apartment at first. Right? I drive a 7-year-old car, but I'm stable. I have a nice, stable job. Right? I'm not an a-hole. I'm not gonna have you out here walking in all time, in the rain, and we'll be all right. Right? We'll get you your green card. We'll put you down. You'll go to school, and in 4 or 5 years you'll be out of school and you'll be making your own money, and we could make something work. And it looked like them African sisters is like, yeah, I'll take that deal. I'll take it. You making 55,000 by that time, and I'm making, out of college. Let's say I'm a nurse. I'm walking in the door at 45,000. I'll take that deal. You making 50, I'm making 40. I'll take that deal. Shit, you making 40, I'm making 40, I'll take that deal. That's what's going to hurt Black American women in particular. White women too, low key. That's what's going to hurt them. Just like how we talk about some of the Latino community coming from south of the border undercutting the labor pool, that's pretty much what these women from other environments, other nations are going to do to the dating market in America as they come in. Because they will take the deal, especially the fact that we're not talking about abusive men. We're not talking about predators, because that's what a lot of these Western women, particularly Black American women, want to frame it as, that you're predators and you're preying on these women. No, the brothers are straight up, yeah, hey, this is my life. I'm not a baller in America. You know, you're going to have to contribute also. And those African women, African sisters are like, yeah, I'll take the deal. I'll take it. We've had our intellectuals in this space that tell you their mentors, first marriage was a ADOS woman, second marriage was an African woman, and they've been married for 25 years, 30 years. What now? Because she took the deal. How many pro-blacks in the Black community are with African sisters or Caribbean sisters? Because she took the deal. It's not about him, right? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And I think that's where we get into this. And so I'm linking it back to that, because that video right there told me a lot. Which African brother that frequents this space said, like, the viral Kevin Samuels videos, people in other countries were talking about them, and it made ADOS women and black, black women from the diaspora that's in America, it made them look bad. It was a bad move, and it wasn't what he was saying. It wasn't what Kevin was saying. It's what these women were saying and how they were saying it. Like I said, these other groups of people from around the world, they're working from a different social contract. So you think you making sense when they see it, they just see an abrasive, aggressive, mean woman talking to this older man with disrespect. You think you being sassy and cute, and you trying to flex a little bit for your homegirls who you're going to show this video to later. Other men around the world, because, okay, you don't care what Black American men think. Okay, fine. Other men from around the world see someone that's aggressive and abrasive and mean. It ain't a good look, right? And then now y'all want to grab y'all passports, like the first video I was referencing, and dip off. All right, those men in other countries got something for you. Especially those of you that are really desperate. You know, the non-black men in America got something for you, right? Mr. Z, why do you talk about Ostefco so much? Because of her candor. She's a couple years older than me. She's done the swirling thing. What she got to show for it? And far more women are like her, Black women are like her, than they want to give us credit for. She's just more honest about these failed situations with these non-Black dudes. But these other Black women around social media ain't telling you how the Latino dude played them, called them the N-word. These other women are not telling you how the white guy's family threatened him not to get the life insurance if he stayed with her. They're not telling you that. They're not telling you how the white guy is just as bummy. All that talk about black men don't build and black men don't have no money and black men they're not telling you the white guys are showing up to dates smelling with gym clothes on. They're not telling you that, right? They're not saying any of that. Y'all give me a second. Let me take a swig of this juice real quick. Right? They're not telling you about the white guy's corny jokes. They're not giving you none of that. They're not saying anything about that. So the reason why I talk about Oste because she's way more honest. Because what Chrissy got for y'all is, well, the men do it too. Y'all pimp the recent video she put out. Y'all pimping y'all. First of all, she's still talking about and this is why this is a mashup, y'all, because I'm touching on a bunch of things. Um, she's still talking about Jess Pearly things being the face of the black manosphere. First of all, no. Secondly, you're late. Um, then pretty much because she's been hearing people like me, Mr. Z, talking, she's pretty much like, well, y'all saying we're playing our and she's pretty much going down the road of like, you're saying we're playing our subscribers, you're playing your subscribers. You too, essentially what she's doing. Well, you too, yeah, yawn, right? And let's be, I'm. Let's put it this way, and this is before I get into my, because I'm trying not to be a whole egomaniac with this. I'm hearing some of these content creators in a weird way respond to me, right? Um, and when I say that, they're not saying my name, but I've made comments in 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 other on other people's panels on my channel, right? I've made comments where you could tell if you listen to these people's videos, you could tell like, wait a minute, are you responding to me with what you just said? And these people's channels are huge. I got a little 1,700. I'm barely over 1,700. These people have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And for some of them, yeah, recently there was a woman, and I mentioned her name, Miss Yonders, and I think she has like 3,000 subscribers or something, three something or four, yeah, something like that. And I swear, if she wasn't responding to me, she was just responding to someone that said very similar to me, right? So Billy said, "No, go full megalomaniac." I'm trying not to, right? I'm not because I'm not. I'm not. I don't know if they're responding to me because they don't say my name, right? But they will speak on things that I've said, and and you're like, wait a minute, I poked at you with that particular topic. Are you responding to me? Because like you've never really spoken about this type of thing before, right? So let's go into, yeah. So like I said, one of Chrissy's recent videos where she talks about the red pill, it's as if she was responding to me, right? Oh, y'all got that, y'all putting y'all wives over there and y'all exploiting, y'all doing this for the money too. Essentially what she said was, don't come for me, y'all doing this for the money too. No, Chrissy, we're not you and Paris Milan. Some of us are doing it for the money, yeah, but many of us are doing this because we really believe in what we're saying. We really want to see the betterment for black boys and black men. We're really tired of people, women, for in our case, black women, weaponizing the court system against us, the family court system against us, and weaponizing white supremacy against us. So yeah, we're saying it because we mean it. These little few YouTube dollars, some of us are making some real money off of YouTube, but that ain't why we here, right? So yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, it somewhat seemed like she, but you don't want to be a megalomaniac. Shout out to Trell. You don't want to be a megalomaniac with it because first of all, their channel is so big. Secondly, they didn't say your name, so you don't know if they're responding to you, right? FD Signify has said certain things, and I'm like, but FD, we at least FD's been in my comments before, so we know like he with that we could make a more educated guess that he is somewhat responding to me, or he is attempting to mitigate against my brand of Black Manosphereism, right? So he's attempting to mitigate against that when he says certain things, and we can make an educated guess on that because he's actually been in my comments before. So we know, and he's made comments, and he's been in my live comments, so we know like he's listened in at least a couple times, right? Where with these women, they don't engage me. They don't. My email is there, right? They don't invite me on their channels. They don't engage with me. So we don't know if they're really listening in, but in a weird way, it's as if they're responding to certain things I've said before, right? And like I said, I also, to be a bit humble, I see my channel size and I see their channel size, and I'm thinking to myself, because obviously y'all know I'm all over YouTube, but I don't catch everybody's stuff all the time. So it's very likely they could be responding to someone else who might have said something very similar to me that I didn't catch, right? So they could be responding to O'Shea, or they could be responding to anyone, right? Obsidian, they could be responding to any one of us. Meteor Tutorial, they could be responding to the lead attorney, Dennis Sperling. They could be responding to any one of those brothers that might have said something similar to something I've said, and I just didn't catch it, right? Better you said, I bet you they some ninja watchers, bro. I mean, they could be hate watching, hate listening sometimes, right? They could be. They very cool. They very well could be, because I know the way I speak. I take shots, right? I do my own little one-liners and funnies, but I know I'm just not as abrasive as some of the other brothers, or at least I don't come off that way. And so, in their mind, I might be a little bit more, what's the word, digestible, right? And for me, it's not. I'm not on some haha die. I'm trying not to use profanity this morning. New Year's Day, right? Oh, it's not morning anymore. It's afternoon over here, at least on the East Coast. But yeah, and so I'm not haha die. If you don't bow to me, like I'm not on that because I don't think like that. So that's why I don't speak like that. But what I am saying is, you get what you get, right? And I have an understanding of economics. Like Mr. Z has his own aspirations, right? I have things I'm working for, but I have an understanding of economics and the way the world works that I would argue is a bit more realistic. Because I don't, put it this way, I don't think we should limit relationships to wealthy and well-off people. That used to be a thing way, 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 way back in the day, but the other people still had some type of intimate connections, because every time we get to this place where you price men out of marriage, somebody head got to end up on a pike, right? When the top 10-15% of the population starts to hoard more and more women, it ends violent, right? And I think what I'm saying is, when I speak, I'm speaking to the elites. I'm speaking to other left-leaning content creators. I'm speaking to the swirlers and divestors. I'm asking them, are you sure this is what you want? Because it's not. If you better hope I'm not right. Because what I predict is this ends really bad. Because what you think is you have enough time to socialize the men to be okay with not having spouses and not having children. You think you're hoping against all hope that you have the time to do it. right? And shout out to Hot Sauce. He said relationships related to finance never worked, right? And thank you, Hot Sauce, right? And to be 100% honest, I don't I don't think it's wise where we're going because we're not incentive. We have way too much stick and not enough carrot. What's the carrot? Hey, if you're lucky, you'll come up with a business and be a millionaire or a billionaire and then look down on other people. That's the carrot. We have way too much stick and not enough carrot. Where, excuse me, what are we doing to incentivize men to work hard and be productive men in society, productive citizens? What are we? You could make enough money to go buy a car you could barely afford to show off to the same women who are gonna disrespect you. No, right? Big Kev said, coming over from watching Alice in the Borderlands. Shout out to you, Big Kev. Thank you for the super chat. Right? And that's just, like I said, this is not sustainable. That's why I'm speaking. When I speak, I speak the best way I know how to represent my particular brand of black manhood, black masculinity. I understand that I, me claiming this and other brothers giving me the cosign means that I'm not just speaking for me. There are other, I have to be careful how I speak because there are other black men who claim what I claim and who have very important positions in their life that I can't mess up because how it would look on them being associated with me. So when I speak, I understand that. And as a matter of fact, boom, Dr. Thunder's in here. So when I'm speaking, I'm cognizant of that, right? I'm cognizant of and Happy New Year, Dr. Thunder. Happy New Year, right? I'm cognizant of that. And it's interesting. That's like the third time that's happened where like I'm I'm thinking about someone and I'm mentioning them and then y'all just say, "Hey, what's up?" Oh man. Right? Um because I'm thinking about our intellectuals in this space, right? And those of them that are they're doing their own thing even outside of the black manosphere. They're movers and shakers in their own right. They're influential in their own spheres, right? And you have to be careful with that. And so me knowing that and then me also knowing that I don't know who's listening at any given time. Like when FD popped into my comments, I was like, oh man, right? This is the same guy that a couple of people, big time, people mentioned. Crystal Ball ran for office. And she ran for office once. She's one of the co-hosts of Breaking Points, and she mentioned FD Signifier's video. And he's in my comments, right? So you never know who's listening. And what I'm asking, because and it, when Chrissy said something along the lines of, and I'm something like, what's wrong with like essentially like she was like, yeah, we don't always want to have to live in reality. What's wrong with? She didn't say delusion. It wasn't fantasy either. It was something along those lines, right? I just remember thinking to myself, this is not sustainable, and I'm bringing that up to say like that's why I speak the way I do, which is like, you know, there are going to be people that download y'all videos, and there are going to be people that reference this in 10, 15, 20 years. Do you understand the road you're potentially leading your subscribers down, right? Thank you very much, Pensive. And Pensive coming in with the super chat. Pensive says, so, excuse me. And he's talking about health, and I'm over here coughing, hysterical. Pensive said, "Salute to your prolific 2022 and to your health in 2023." Thank you very much, Pensive. Thank you. Right. And, it's funny you said that, and I started coughing. Right. But yeah, so look, Hot Sauce says, "Mister, I love you, bro, but you're anti-business." I'm not actually anti-business. I'm anti trying to use. Okay, this is what I'm saying. Let's pause on what I was saying earlier. Let me address this. And Hot Sauce, here's the thing. What I'm saying is they took everything, and I'm talking about the they. So I'm not even talking about black men, or I'm not talking about black people at all right now when it comes to this. The elite white people, elite white men in particular, sucked up so much of the opportunity, money, wealth, and everything. And then what they gave you was entrepreneurial dreams as a lottery ticket. I don't think they really even mean it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. I'm not anti-business. I think what they're trying to do is sell you on starting businesses, and you too can compete against us, and you too can be up here as a way of saying, like, all of the stability that came out of the late 40s, the 50s, the mid 60s. I understand that window is closed. I get it. Fine. Even up to about the mid 70s, I get it. That window's closed. And we're not going back, and we're definitely not going back in the foreseeable future. Okay, cool. What I'm saying is those people then turned around, and we already know, like, that's why I played the video I did about neoliberalism a couple weeks ago, which is we're going to take all of these things off the table, and now you must compete to the death for stability, not even to be elite. You got to compete to the death with us, with each other, with your women, with your children, with different races and ethnicities to the death for stability. And I look at that as a hand trick, which is like, y'all were too stable in the 50s and 60s. Y'all were asking for too much. Y'all demanded too much. So let's see what you could demand when I have you working 60 plus hours a week just to survive. Right? So it's not that I'm anti-business, Hot Sauce. It's that I'm looking at it. If I'm a muhaha, and shout out to the brother Sarge Willie Pete. If I'm a muhaha, Mr. Burns tapping on my fingers, how do I get your everyday person to not come at me? And at least when I put on my tinfoil hat, I'm admitting I'm putting my tinfoil hat, right? I think the answer is you work them so hard they never get a chance to take a break. You make their life so tenuous that they're so busy trying to chase after stability, they never actually get the chance to come at you. You sell them on small government, right? Shout out to Mr. Me Too. Thanks for the super chat. He says, support black media, black men media. Let's say that again. Support black men media. Yes, sir. Right? So when I'm speaking, Hot Sauce, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the game, like, look at the gig economy. You see the backwards. You're a bit Wharton School of Business. You already know. So think about the gig economy. That's like their backdoor way of, like, not having to adhere to anything. The labor rights movements going back to the late 19th century, right? They don't have to adhere to much to any of that because you're no longer an employee, right? You're a private contractor. And there's some people, a handful of people that's going to benefit from that, right? I'm going to stay on the road. My car's new enough and reliable enough. I'm going to be killing them. But most people are going to fall in the rears, right? So that's all I'm saying, Hot Sauce. That's all I was saying. I'm not, I'm not anti-business. I know I come off like that often. Um, but the I don't agree with the dominant narrative that you could just fix this, fix the anti-blackness, fix black people's social standing around the world, particularly in America. I don't agree that you fix this with Diddy and Jay-Z and Oprah being rich. Right? And I agree with that, hot sauce. I agree. And I might actually bring you up, right? Let me see. Do I know how to do that? Let's see. Wait a minute. Let's see. Okay. Um, I'm looking. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Do I know how to do this? Wait a minute, yo. Oh, there we go. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me see. Okay, so I am trying to do something, but I don't know if I'm doing this right. Okay, apparently not. Okay, that's something I have to work on. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. Um, because it's so you are against taking away upward mobility? Of course not. Of course not. Oh no, right? What I'm saying is, I think, and thank you for the super chat. No, I'm not against taking away upward mobility. Um, like I said, what I'm saying is, I think the dominant narrative of, and no, I'm not against millionaires or billionaires. What I'm saying is, I think the dominant narrative of your answers will be found in the market, and we put a market valuation on everything is how you get here. So I do think that there are certain things that the public sector has no business in, like relationships, right? Um, like intimacy. I think that there's no democracy in intimacy, right? There is it is it is a dog eat dog world, right? But then there's other things where I think when you put a market valuation on everything, you get here, right? And it's always justifiable because it's out here. You are just subject to market forces and market rules, and everything has a number, a price tag, a essentially we've commodified everything. And I think there's some there's some social, I want to say social dilemma, but there is a social repercussion to that, is what I'm saying, right? And so if we're okay with, you know, it's interesting because this is what I'm saying. If we're not okay with women pretty much saying, hey, it's the top 20% or nothing, then do you not see the connection? You know what I'm saying? So like there is a social ramification for top 20% or nothing. And remember, top 20% keeps on moving. It literally is just the top 20%. Not everyone can fit in there. But what you used to have was a society that made it stable enough where, and you didn't indulge in a hyper consumerist, hyper materialistic, um keeping up with the Joneses mentality. So people still wanted nice stuff. People still wanted to live a comfortable life. And if they had the chance to be part of the top 20%, they would definitely take it. But when you make that everything, I think you get here. So tying that to business and neoliberalism and market valuation of everything, I think we're here because we didn't kind of mitigate against the social ramifications of putting a market-based valuation on everything. You see what I'm saying? So that's where I'm going with it. Better use it. Not everything yet. It's still free to breathe for the moment. Just saying. Right. I'm just saying. So that's all I'm saying, hot sauce. I'm not anti-business, believe it or not. Like I really am. I'm really not. You can argue my little YouTube channel is a business. Right? Right? Definitely not against business or entrepreneurship, because like I said, I don't the public not it's not even that I don't think the public sector cannot take care of everything. It can't. If we're complaining about bureaucracy now, you imagine, right? So I'm not a Marxist in any way, right? I don't believe in no philosopher king. I don't believe in public sector everything and committee vote in democracy for everything and having outside forces tell you what you can do in your home with your spouse and your children. I'm not about none of that, right? And if we go too far down that lane, that's where we get, right? But what I'm saying is on the opposite side is how we get here, where once again, like 400 people have the same wealth as the bottom half of Americans, right? That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, when you have numbers like that, when you have the, did y'all see? It's in my community chat and it's further down. I think I posted maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. It was a Canadian, but he's essentially kind of like a BlackRock person, which is like buying up all the homes and putting on the renters market. And the interviewer, white lady interviewer, was interviewing him and said, "So you're renting the American dream?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he had this evil ass smirk on his face. Like, yeah, we're gonna price y'all out and y'all gonna have to come to us to rent these homes because you're not gonna be able to purchase it, or you're not gonna be able to mortgage it off and have it paid off in 25, 30, 35 years. It's ours forever, and you're gonna be paying us this money for the house forever. And when you can't afford it, you'll move out and then we'll move somebody in. Right? And it's the smirk on his face, right? And like that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to understand, like, younger people, this is why some of your kids are like playing around with socialist concepts. And I remember watching what's the white dude, Dave Ramsey, and like he was like, these young people, they want to be socialists and I'm like, don't you get why? Do you understand you had 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 25-year-olds interested in a 70-something-year-old man called Bernie Sanders, and y'all don't know why? You think it's just because they soft? Oh, y'all soft. Y'all want handouts. Handouts, excuse me. Maybe some of them. But you have to think. Some of these people came of age with some of the worst economic situation in their life. Maybe not in American history, but in their life. Right? So that's all I'm saying. It when you put it into perspective, yeah, it ain't looking good, right? We're not, well, once again, we're not talking about Keynesianism. We're talking about the Chicago boys, Milton Friedman, neoliberal version of capitalism. And that's a whole different monster, right? We're not talking about pre 1975 capitalism. We're talking about post 1980s capitalism. So that's all. That's all I want to say with that. And then, tying that to what I was saying with the divestors and the swirlers, and then some of even your content creators that might be listening to me. I understand that there might be some that are listening in, so that's why I speak the way I do. And quite frankly, I speak the way I do that because this is really the way I am. But I'm even more conscious of it, and that's why I make videos and I tell y'all, hey, I'm not using profanity, and when I am going to use profanity, I'll let you know as soon as possible, right? Because I understand, and this is a space for us, and you know, we we might be making some headway, right? And me being cognizant of that is how you get here, right? And yeah, so I'm very, once again, shout out to all of you, my subscribers, people that listen in. And I know we're gonna disagree on certain things. I mean, me and Hassas just disagreed. Um, and once again, like that's another thing that I like about these spaces is the sharpening, right? The okay, you believe in that, stand on it. Whether I agree with you or not, stand on it. Can you defend it or are you just talking? Right? And I actually love that because I don't know how much we do that enough in mainstream society. Like y'all remember the Donahue shows and stuff like that where they would really have like fisticuffs with the audience. Not literally. I'm not talking about when they would actually fight. I'm talking about like intellectually, right? Like the debates and like the back and forth. I I actually somewhat enjoy that, right? Like having those type of conversations for real, for real. Can you defend what you're saying, right? Can you defend? You say that. Are you saying that because that's what you were socialized to believe, or you were raised to believe, right? Do you mean it? And if you mean it, defend it. Geraldo, yeah, Geraldo, Donahue, like more of the talk shows coming out of like the late '80s, early '90s, more than the ones kind of mid '90s and up to like the aughts, because they to me they got soft. It like it just was like the host talking and the audience clapping it up, and like no real pushback and no real like, yeah. When you get the Oprahfication of, and I call it Oprahfication of like the talk shows and the Ricky Lakes of the talk shows, how much are they really challenging mainstream norms, right? And we can argue like you often never really got that, but yeah, you get, so that's where I'm going with it, you know. So yeah, yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, so that's what I enjoy about these conversations. That's what I enjoy about when we're on different people's platforms. Um, I actually respect that, right? And like just now, having the back and forth with hot sauce, I'm speaking to a Harvard grad. I'm speaking to Wharton School of Business. I'm speaking to a entrepreneur, right? Um, a business owner, right? So this is not a no one just talking, just to be taught. This is not, you know, and defend it, right? So like that's what hot sauce just pretty much told me. All right, defend it, right? So whether you agree with me or not, it's about, and so who called me out on Art New Style channel one time? Oh, what is his name? It was one of the conservative brothers. Shit, I forgot his name. His thumbnail picture is in my face, but I forgot his name. But yeah, called me out about being a lefty one time, and I defended it like no problem, right? Because are you just talking? And then why do you believe the things you believe? And why are you saying the things you say? And to be frank, when we're debating, let's be honest, can I catch you up on what you're saying, right? Can I back you into a corner? Right. So yeah, man. And you know, like I said, I know there might be people listening in, so I'm careful. And sometimes, you know, I'm gonna still get fiery. Sometimes I'm gonna use profanity, obviously, and all of that. Sometimes, you know, it warrants that. The video I made about the white dudes, right? It warrants it, right? And then there's other times when it doesn't, you know. And as I said, and I bring these things up too because the discourse, at least in my lifetime, has been skewed very heavily to the women are nice and everything right and spice and nice and beautiful and lovely and girls are the best and you boys are monsters that we barely tolerate, right? And I think that narrative is how we got to where we are now, which is men that are indifferent, um, men that are dropping out of society, men that are becoming more and more recluse, right? Yeah, I think we get to where we are now because much of feminism was built on the back of denigrating men. It wasn't in a vacuum, right? It wasn't we're building this own thing, this other thing on the side over here for the women and the men that subscribe to this worldview. No, it was built on the back of men, which means we had to bring men in for some abuse to elevate women, right? So to elevate women, we had to talk about how bad men are. And you saw this most acutely in the black community, which is like we can't talk about the greatness of black women in a vacuum. When we're speaking about the greatness of black women, And the subtext is how horrible black men are. And sometimes we'll actually say how horrible black men are overtly, right? And this is how Waiting to Excel comes up. This is why I bring it up all the time, because in that movie, it's just showing woman after woman, right, dealing with their own situations. But in the backdrop of the movie is all of these horrible men, right? This is why I bring up the Harriet movie, because the Harriet movie encapsulates white supremacy, but it also encapsulates this black man who is going above and beyond and is a weapon of white supremacy against a black woman and is going above and beyond. He's passionate about hurting this black woman, right? That's why I bring up these particular, because it's not just a movie, it's a pop culture reference point, right? It's a reference point in pop culture that really perfectly encapsulates the narrative that I am attempting to express, right? So that's what I'm speaking to. So when I speak, I understand that there might be people listening in, and I try not to be a megalomaniac. Shout out to Trell. I'm attempting not to be a megalomaniac in the conversation, but when I'm listening to some of these people's content recently, and I'm like, are you responding to me, or are you trying to mitigate something because Mr. Z is probably going to make some content about this, right? And like I said, it could just be me reading into that, or it could really be that these people have shared my content amongst each other, or they they know of me, or they might be hate listening or whatever, right? It could be that, but I don't know. Like I said, they could be responding to someone else. They don't say our names because once again, they're not attempting to legitimize us. I say their names because I want you to know I'm talking about you. Number one. Number two, I mean what I say, right? If I was to be dogs tomorrow and like, did you really mean this about the white guys? Yeah, yeah, I meant it. Do you really mean this about black women? Yeah, I mean it. That's why I make sure when I say not all black women, I don't think this is a black woman thing. I think this is a Western women thing. I think this is a Western thing in general. A men, women, right? Because you once you had the video that came out from Julesy. Black women were never encouraged to marry down. This is a black woman intellectual met with Obama, Michelle Obama, and everything, and she's telling y'all with history, black women were never encouraged to marry down. And you got hordes of black women in her comments going at her neck because they're not trying to hear that, right? Well, right? They're not trying to hear that. You even have FD signifiers saying, "Hey, black women, y'all talking about." I don't think he said black women, but either way, women, y'all talking about these emotionally intelligent men. Let's be honest. When y'all actually meet them, y'all don't really know what to do. Y'all actually try to push them back into the box using patriarchal terms. Y'all start calling them all type of bitchs, right? Y'all. Now that could be. I don't think. Let me say this in a right way. I think FD would have said that regardless if there was a Mr. Z. But I can't help to think that he knows like Mr. Z would have had something to say about that because we know it. For those of us that we have command of the English language and we are air quotes emotionally intelligent, I hate when they say that, right? and we know how to convey ourselves. What you find out real quick is that women are a whole lot of talk for the guys like us. And as a matter of fact, we're the ones who end up having to tell her, use your words. You're using profanity. You're cursing. Why are you cursing? Right. So I'm happy he brought that up because he already know. And FD's not a dumb brother. You know they don't mean it. It's just a way for them to jab at black men. So what you have is you have your and some of them occupy the same space, but you have your divestors and your black women in luxury and your whatever women, your swirlers and whatever over there on the side. Then you have your intellectuals, your radical black feminists, your feminists, your womanist on the other side. Um, your queer folks that are women, whatever, and they often occupy the same space because most of it is just all black men ain't ish talk. But for those, and then you have your conservative black women who are more, they kind of straddle the fence on the rhetoric, but most of it is like, I want to live some 1950s traditional relationship, but I still kind of don't want you to actually be what my great granddad was. I want the lifestyle. I want to be a Stepford wife, but I don't actually want you to have the final say so. But I am a conservative woman, though. Okay, right. Um, but the in particular, the women I'm describing, the ones that try to use this whole um, you need to be intellectually intelligent, or I said intellectually. I'm sorry. You need to be emotionally intelligent. You need to be aware. You need to be introspective, and blah blah blah. They say all of that until they run into the man that actually is, right. They say all of that until they actually come into the contact with the man that actually, and then the one, oh, I've done it. And I know some of you brothers have done it too. You trigger her, she start going off, and you just hit her with the straight face. And for me, my eyes say everything. My eyes say, ooh, look at who's snapping now. I had to grab a wrist before because I was about to get slapped. I had to grab a wrist before because my eyes said everything. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, what happened? Oh, what happened? Right? Oh, you thought I was one of those mushmouth can't speak brothers. Oh, you should have known better. Oh, look at you. See, you're used to condescending down to black men, and you heard that I don't have a college degree. I've been in that situation, and I'm not saying I said this, but you know, so you thought I was gonna be an easy lick. Oh, now have I been outspoke? Have I been outmaneuvered by a black woman before? Of course, not often. And it'd be the sisters that it'd be the ones that the ones that could really outmaneuver you, just like the brothers that are really fighters. They don't walk around with it on their chest. You could see it. They're not the ones that like they're just looking for an argument all the time. And they're no, those are not the ones. They're real chill, real laid back. It's the ones that look like they always wanted, college educated or not. And you take their head off, and they go to snapping, right? And my eyes say every, like I said, and I'm doing it on purpose, to be honest. So I'm a black man. I know that I'm in the position where it's best I say nothing. So my mouth isn't moving. I stopped talking a minute ago, 30 seconds ago. My eyes, though, are saying, you didn't think about what you were saying, huh? Mm. Well, it happens. Well, you lost one. Shout out to Lauren Hill. right? So that, yeah, and you know, I think sometimes that's the position you have to play. They done messed up, right? You done messed up. And yeah, so you know, y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, and you know these. But to me, these conversations are important. I don't think we're engaging in that much anymore, though. I think we're in our echo chambers, just regurgitating the same things to each other over and over again now. Oh, shout out to the brother Trell Bentley. Trell said, um, I find that they try to overtalk me. My experience with women like this is they always go to emotion, and I strip that right out. Oh no, nope, nope, none of that. Nope. You're boiling men into numbers, so you don't get to play emotions and feelings. Nope. Quite frankly, I really want to dismiss the whole emotionally intelligent thing too, but I know that's their new shtick, right? So I will indulge in the conversation a bit, even though because it's not really measurable, and I know that's the best place they got right now because much of the manosphere, black manosphere in particular, has backed them all the way to the corner. So now they're talking about stuff that can't be actually measured. Shout out to Pensive. I hate when people use college degree as a mark of intelligence. Um, you know, I've come across that a little bit, but for the most part, you know, I have siblings that graduated law school. I have cousins, nurses. I have, you know, graduate college. I have all of that, and friends, right, associates that it never comes up in conversation. When I say it never comes up, unless they're trying to tell you a story about something that happened in college. For the ones that went away to college, unless they're trying to like tell you about a professor or something they learned in particular, it like never comes up. White, black, or otherwise, it like it's not a point of that for the men. Now it gets real interesting when we start because for me, your degree is dope. Like you having a college degree is dope, but if we're not speaking about something that you went to school for, that was your major, then I don't see how, unless it's something that you also studied, maybe you minored in it, or even if you took a class or two, okay, fine. But you'll find people that like attempt to use college as this kind of like this kind. I wanted to say cudgel, but no, like a hammer to hit people upside the head with. But we're talking about something you didn't even go to school for. You didn't even take any classes in, right? So yeah, it means nothing. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I said, sometimes you engage with these people, and I'm particularly talking about intimate relationship stuff, right? Intimacy, relationships, sex, money that's tied to all of that, status that's tied to all of that, and just like Courtney Ryan showed, what you see is that these women don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like Kevin Samuel showed, these women don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like what's her name? Kendra G is showing these women don't know what the hell they're talking about. White, black, Latina, Asian, or otherwise. They just don't. Young, old, middle age. They just don't know. They don't know. They don't know what's happening around the world. They don't know what's happening around the country. They don't know what's happening next door to them. They don't know much about anything money related. This is where hot sauce come in. This is where Rael come in. They really don't know about money, right? Forget financial literacy. They don't. I don't even know how to put it in words. Really, how much like when you interview young women in their 20s and they're telling you about how a man needs to make 650, 500, 300,000, $400,000 to even consider for them to even consider you a viable candidate. Like that's not just a lack of financial literacy. That's like, to me, that's like clinical delusion, right? That's crazy. When you have, and rest in peace to Kevin, one of his last streams, the heavyset sister with the tattoo on the chest, and you could tell. So she was like, okay, so if I have to settle for a regular man, then he got to settle for me this way. And it's just, and it was the, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't contempt. It wasn't, it's the anger maybe that, oh, I got to be with a regular man. All right, fine. I ain't doing, all right. If I got to eat that, I'm just going to be the meanest person in the world. You could see the wheels turning in her head that said, all right, if I'm limited to just these, excuse my language, these niggas, then fine. They could kiss my rear end with this. So this is where you get where women say, I would rather be single, right? So they would rather be single, and if they just can't bear being single and they have to air quotes settle, right? This is why, like, the smooth talking pimping ass dudes around the way, the hood niggas, this is where they come in. Because what she's saying is, if I have to settle for a normal income dude, then I might as well get the best looking dude possible, the most charismatic dude possible. Because they don't really see a difference between $45,000 and $60,000 men. So for them, it's like, fine, I'll get the, I'll end up dating, air quotes dating, really getting piped down, but a dude that's barely making 30, but he's tall and he looks like this and he's funny. That's the rationale. Y'all remember, for those of you that saw the video I'm speaking about with Kevin interviewing the young lady, y'all saw her when you saw when he finally backed her into like understanding, like, lady, you have a whole chest tattoo. And she was like, oh, I could put makeup on this, bruh. Hip hop culture and some of the hood ways, and it got y'all all type of messed up, man. If you're not in the entertainment industry, you're not getting these type of passes in certain circles. Y'all want ballerific dudes that operate and move around in certain circles, but yet y'all have visible tattoos, bro, and not even like a little wrist tattoo, a little ankle tattoo. And I'm not even on some respectability right now. I'm saying the way it is right now. I'm not telling you that it's okay. It's not fair. Like I said, I know a lot of people like, no, the world is fair. No, no, no. Let's use their language. Fine, it's not fair, and you know it, and yet you got a chest tattoo, or you as a woman got a whole sleeve, and you want a a square dude that's not an entertainment to not only wife you, but bring you to the Christmas party, and you're gonna be walking around here with a spaghetti strap dress or a dress with no top. When I say no top, I mean like not her breast showing, but like, with the shoulders out and your arms out. Once again, I'm not on this respectability thing, but the way the world is currently is, and the way it's gonna be for at least the short term foreseeable future. Come on. And like, those same women will tell you how you ain't ish or you're not building, but before we talk about your weight, even before we talk about your attitude, your look has already X'd you off of so many men's list, regardless of race, right? And then you're coming to the table with a financial requirement for you to take a man seriously. And when the world doesn't afford you that, then you're throwing a seven like a temper tantrum of a 7-year old, right? And Trail says, "What's so bad about respectability?" I think I don't think it's bad in a vacuum. I think that what ends up happening is just like I was saying to Hot Sauce about like this kind of entrepreneurial talk. I think it's like something that certain right wingers sometimes and certain business people and even some politicians, left and right, believe it or not, I think there's something that they use to pretty much say, well, if you just would act like this, then you would be perfectly okay, right? It's just like another excuse on why you're on the bottom, right? It's not that I mean, like y'all listen to the way I speak. Um, there's a couple of brothers that have my IG page. They see the way I dress. So like if you see the way I dress and y'all hear the way I speak, like that's really Mr. Z. So clearly, right? Y'all know my parents are married. I want to be married. I'm in a relationship, long term relation. Well, is it long term yet? I don't know if that would be considered long term yet. But yeah, I'm in a relationship, and so I'm not against being respectable in a vacuum, but I know that it's another thing that's used as like a rhetorical weapon against the poor, against regular people, right? The reason you're not here is because you're not moving like this, and you're not da da da, right? You're not respectable enough, right? You know, so that's what I'm saying. But yeah. So I think like that's what I was saying about the young lady. And it's that, like I said, you watch these videos and you just see some of the most insane things. Like I said, the sister that was saying, um, what I need you to have $50,000. Essentially, she was saying I need you to have 50 stacks liquid. That's why I can't be with a 9 to 5 guy. Then you got the light skinned sister that said, you know, um, if I make more money than you, I will mistreat you. You got the mainly non-black women, but a couple of black women on that video with Courtney Ryan talking about money crazy. Like it, these are your daughters, America. You know, and so yeah, man. And let's start wrapping it up, and let's go in on like this. So we have the video, and I gotta finish the series of the sister with the that got played by the Dominican dude, and she played herself. There's the African sisters that are pretty much telling Black American women why y'all hating. Y'all sound crazy. Um, there's the Glenn Lowry video about race and playing it down, and essentially saying, like this racism thing is not a thing anymore. Um, what else did I touch on? There's me and Hot Sauce speaking about capitalism and really business and entrepreneurship, and where's the line of like, yeah, this is something you should maybe pursue if you have the means or the intelligence or the knowledge, and where is it like the system just using this as like selling you lottery dreams and like a silver bullet, and if you do this, you'll be fine, right? Life will be swell. Um, and then even just me and Trell just now when I spoke about respectability. Um, Yeah, because I don't really think there's any silver bullet to any of this. I think life is dynamic and it's ever changing and moving, and you have to be ever changing and moving and evolving to get a hold of it and do the best that you can with what you have and to prosper. Um, and I don't think that we're doing a good enough job in preparing our young people for that, right? So yeah, um, I think there needs to be a floor and a stability for people when they're walking off the ledge. And I think right now it's the young people are risk averse. Let's be honest. They're scared. They're scared. I could see it in them. They're scared. But you got to remember, like some of these people were coming of age during the housing recession, and they just watched their parent who was paying off a house for 15 years lose it. Like think about come because turning 17, 18, okay, let's say anywhere between 15 to like 20, 21, and your mom or your dad or your parents just lost their house, right? Think about that. Think about um coming out of college at 22, 23 years old, maybe 24 years old, to a post-recession economy. And there's studies already that show like the people that around this age group, regardless of what they did, they already got set back compared to their parents. Like, I'm not just pulling that out of my rear end. It's not just some, well, if y'all would have tried harder as a generation. No, like they show like that coming of age during this particular window of American society, it was like everybody was graduating high school or college and getting punched in the gut and then be like, okay, now go run. I just knocked all the air out your lungs, but go run now. Right? So like that, that yeah, and so and then some of us, luckily for me, because of the particular type of work I do, I didn't get hit, but like those of us that just barely started to crawl out of the slime, we just started to crawl out the slime. 10 and some odd years later, we get hit with the COVID recession, and that's on top of an increasingly automated world. That's on top of the gig economy, right? All of that. We're just crawling out this. You just started being like, okay, I think I can start. Wait, is that land? I think I see a bit of. Oh, wait a minute, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So yeah, and respectability and entrepreneurship. And as a matter of fact, they showed that I was watching a Wisecrack video, and they spoke about like how this kind of do for self, do it yourself, rugged individualism, these type of books, they spike during hard times economically, right? That entrepreneurial talk, like the kind of this type of speech spikes during economically hard times. Of course, right? It makes sense. Like people are they realize they can be less reliant on the system, and they're living kind of somewhat tenuous existence. Um, and so they start looking for do it yourself type of content, and some of the inspirational content. This is when you usually get a spike in church membership. This is when stuff like that. And as we can see with black women, and women in general, but black women specifically, with that manifest talk, right? This is where you get all of that supernatural conversation. All of that is because like times are hard, people are struggling, and so like people need to believe in themselves more, or they need to believe in a higher power more, and that's where you see people go. That's like the respite. That's where people go to feel some bit of relief, right? Or support. So yeah, so I'm not against any of that. Like y'all see how Mr. Z speaks. Outside of speaking about money and economy stuff, I don't really. It's not that I don't have opinions. Clearly, I mean, listen to my channel. It's I don't know about dictating to others what they should be doing. All I can tell you is, based off of what I at least see, you could not do it this way, and there might be some consequences. But at least if you came into contact with me, you realize that there would be some consequences for you not moving a particular way. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm saying look out in the world and see what happens to just about everyone who doesn't go this direction. Right? And that's what I'm saying to on my channel to black women. Like, yeah, you could not care about what black men are saying. You could call us sexist monsters. You could use white supremacist rhetoric and apparatus against us. You can talk about swilling and divesting, but I don't know how it's going to look in 10 years, right? I mean, based off the past, it hasn't necessarily worked for black women, but okay, right? And so with that, y'all, I'm about to end it out. Let me go chill with the fam for a little bit. Um, thanks for being in here with me. Uh, yeah. So I just want to start off New Year's, kind of going over a few things. Shout out to the African sisters, the two African sisters. Yeah, that for those of you that don't know what I'm referring to, Edward Anderson, the brother Edward Anderson, his live last night, he was speaking about he one of the videos in his live last night showed two African sisters just kind of talking to Black American women and saying like, bruh, like why you hating? Like we're inviting everybody, but we're saying essentially we know the dance between men and women, and we're willing to play our part, right? And it seems like you're not willing to play your part and you're mad at Black American men for considering coming to the continent to play for us to play our part with them, right? Yeah, I gotta go see my mom. Shout out to the brother said, get some soup jumu. It's a Haitian soup that we make every New Year's. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I gotta go see my. Yeah, I might go tomorrow and get some soup jumu from my mom. I don't even know if she cooked it. I gotta make a call because my sister's there now. My sister's down visiting, and yeah, yeah. Let me see. Make a call, right? So yeah, and I'll end it there. Happy New Year's to everybody. I wish y'all many, 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 many more. Um, you know, I hope we get our mind right. I really don't. Oh yeah, I mentioned the hive model. That's another thing I mentioned. I really hope Nameless is wrong, man. And shout out to the brother Nameless. He knows why I'm saying it. I really hope the brother Nameless is wrong, but it don't look like he's wrong. It doesn't look like he's wrong, and that's disheartening, bro. When you when you see what's going on in the community, yeah, and don't look like he's wrong, and that's unfortunate. But yeah. So we will pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. All right, y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Happy New Year. Um, and we will pause right here. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Oh, go check out other Black Manosphere content and all other non-Manosphere content related stuff, so y'all can have a better understanding of the world. So y'all don't sound like these crazy ass sisters like this girl that got played by the goddamn Dominican dude. And et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. All right, y'all. Later.